What is up, my Sabronis? Oh, wait, we gotta start it over. We gotta start. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot. Let's try that again. What is up, my Sabronis? This is the Sabo Standard podcast with Taylor Sabo and my best friend that is bald. My best friend that is bald, Scott
It's
CamDog
important.
Cameron.
Nota bene.
Yep. And this is, again, the Sabo Standard podcast where we talk sports to a standard that is on Taylor Sabo's level. You know, the standard is all about Mike Tomlin created the standard. You know, the standard is the standard. And, I don't know if we've already talked about why I decided on the Sabo Standard, but I've just always loved the standard quote. And, now that I have this, every time I say something about the standard at football or at work or something, I always like, the Sabo Standard? Like,
Yeah.
no.
It's an easy plug.
Yeah, I like trying to hold myself to the standard and living up to the standard. Do I always do it? Nope. But I have a standard, and it's called the Sabo Standard, and that is this podcast where we talk sports and we talk other things, but mostly sports and sometimes other things. And so here we are, and it is Wednesday, August 5th, which means, do you know what tomorrow is?
Thursday?
August 6th, yeah. Tomorrow is preseason game 1. NFL preseason is
That's
finally
right.
here.
That's an NFL Hall of Fame game, right?
Yep, the Hall of Fame game, which
Yeah.
I know that you've been to the Hall of Fame multiple
Couple
times.
times. Yep.
I have got to see the Hall of Fame multiple times. We actually, our football team, we take every 3 or 4 years so that every kid gets to see it at least one time. We go to North Canton Hoover for a 7-on-7. Take our kids then to the game, and really cool moment. And a lot of those kids might be the first time they've ever gone, might be the only time they ever get to go. One thing I'm looking forward to is taking my boy someday. I really am excited to take my son. And tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game featuring the Panthers and the Cardinals. You know what?
A riveting match.
Yeah, riveting match. But this game, there's a conversation that we have to have tonight that we're not even planned for, but you know what? I decided we're going to do it. Going in the Hall of Fame this weekend is Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig. Keep that in mind because after Good Dog, Bad Dog, we're having our Hall of Fame conversation that we should have had months ago. You ready for it? You prepared enough for that?
I could do that. I will say the one thing the internet has been saying, which is hilarious, is that they're really looking forward to Carson Beck throwing the last pass of the football season and the football.
Might be the
really
first
funny.
time that's ever happened. Ever happened. So
pretty cool.
We will get some Hall of Fame football tomorrow. There is no preseason games this weekend, but this is the last Sunday until Super Bowl 61 that we will have an NFL game going on. We will have football be here
6
before
months
we
of
know
bliss.
it. Yep. And so, yes, it's just preseason, but to act like we won't be watching. You are insane. You don't know what's going on. That will be on my TV tomorrow. We are excited. So, before we get into that discussion, we will also just do a little bit of college football, a little bit of Major League Baseball tonight. Let's hit into Good Dog, Bad Dog. Do you want to go first with your Good Dog?
Did you have a sound effect for the dogs?
See, I'm slacking, guys. It's been a long day. I don't have it yet. I don't have it on here.
All right, I'll just fill it. All right,
thank you.
so good dog. The men's Ohio State basketball team, they went down. I know it's just Puerto Rico, but they went down there and they gave them Puerto Ricans a whooping for 2 games. And, it was good to see. Mostly, their 5-star Thompson. I think one game he had 14. Mobley had 13. Pippen in his nostrils had 12. But the thing is, it's a very balanced scoring thing. That's good and bad, but it's good to see them have some success, grow as a team, and I think it's going to pay dividends coming up this season because I know if there's a hot seat in college basketball, it's Mr. Diebler. So he has to perform.
It is absolutely Jake Diebler. 2 games where they just dominated him. My good dog of the week is Chris Olave. Now, Chris Olave just signed a big-time extension with the New Orleans Saints, 4 years, $132 million. And this is just one of those things that when you look back on why you should go to Ohio State as a receiver, JSN, 4 years, $168.6 million. Chris Olave, 4 years, $132. Garrett Wilson, 4 years, $130. Terry McLaurin, 3 years, $97. That doesn't include Carnell Tate, Marvin Harrison, Emeka Ibuku, who are also on the rookie contracts of $51.1, $35.5, and $18.2 million. Maybe not Marv at this point, but Ibuka, after his rookie year, is going to set himself up to cash in. And let's just say Marv turns around this year and next. I mean, he's putting himself in the conversation. He's going to put himself in the conversation to match those. If you are a receiver and you want to go make big money in the NFL, you go to Ohio State. They will develop you. You will go to the NFL, and you will get paid. And it's not just those guys. Denzel Ward is currently the highest paid cornerback in NFL football history. Joey Bosa has cashed in on big checks. Cam Hayward is 13, 14 years into the league, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are still paying him more and more and more and more. Go to Ohio State if you want to get developed and you want to make a lot of money someday in the NFL.
You get paid.
Yeah,
it is definitely it is a Mount Rushmore of college football and development, and there's absolutely no question about it. Absolutely. Right on.
What is your favorite Chris Olave play? Just speaking of Chris Olave real quick, favorite Chris Olave play you've ever had or ever seen? There's two that really, really stand out as his signature plays.
Jeez, I don't know. I'll tell you one that he had a couple. That sounds negative, Nancy. I remember he had a couple. It was like not his last season, but he had a game where he dropped like 2 catches in a row, and I was like, "Oh, dude, what are you doing? Like, come on, man!" Like, and then he turned around and he had like 8 or 9 straight receptions after that. And that's the thing that's scary about Olave. And Egbuka has a little bit like that, where he gets some dropsies, then all of a sudden he just takes off. And that's the thing that's scary about those guys. They miss something, but they learn from their misses. And I think that's the thing that separates an Ohio State Buckeye receiver and how that was developed versus everything else.
Yeah. My 2 Olave plays that kind of come to mind is his biggest plays. His freshman year against Michigan when we beat him like 62-29. Urban's last year. He blocked the punt that flew up in the air that got returned for touchdown. That just kind of just started the hurrah of like, hey, avalanche of points. And then versus Clemson in the rematch, that bomb that just Justin Fields bombed to Garrett or to Chris Olave, the post down the middle, that just kind of like, hey, Clemson, hold that L, buddy. Can't spell Clemson without an L. So
the fact that you almost said Garrett Wilson, that's another name where it's like that guy could if he's right. That's probably it's like Marvin Harrison. You're just in a bad system, man. Like you got to get out of there. You got to get out. You know.
Yep. All right, bad dog of the week for Mr. CamDog himself.
Okay, well, I got 2, but I'll make one real quick. The president of FIFA, Gianni, tried to sell $20 billion the rights for the World Cup to private investors, 20% with Kushner. It's like it smells like a Haslam deal where it's like you wash my back, I'll wash yours kind of crap, and it's like, man, it just stinks. Not good. Bad look, and so they realized it was bad. It's kind of like when Wendy's, remember like 3 or 4 years ago when Wendy's said, we're going to make our prices on the menu reflect the demand at the current, and they were going to try and jimmy that and see if that worked. And then at a couple locations, people were like, "That's a terrible idea." And I feel like that's what Gianni kind of did. He's like, "Oops." The other bad dog is I have this virus that I've had now for like 9 or 10 days, and I cannot beat it. It's been awful. I've been on like 40 milligrams of prednisone. I sweat like a perimenopausal 45-year-old woman today. It's awful.
Well, my bad dog is no virus. My bad dog is no corruption. My bad dog is corruption, and that is the NCAA. The NCAA is a bad dog. I am all about the 5 for 5 rule. If you don't redshirt, you don't get hurt. You can play 5 years of college football, college basketball, college track and field, college lacrosse. It doesn't matter. You have 5 years of eligibility. If you get hurt, there's no redshirt. If they don't play you, there's no redshirt. You get 5 and 5, and I love it. I love it if you set the rule to determine, like to start at the end of this season. Like if you let college football players know at the end of this year, if you're a 5th year, you have a 5th year, you can use it. Instead, they wait till August. When guys that lost their eligibility this last season don't have a chance to continue on unless they didn't get drafted and or go sign with a team. And so I immediately thought of a guy like Caden Curry. Caden Curry, he got drafted in the NFL. Let's look it up when he got drafted. I'm a big Caden Curry fan. Okay, got drafted to the Colts in the 6th round. Now, I believe that Caden Curry knew he could have played for a 5th year. He would have played for a 5th year this year on this Ohio State team. Maybe improve his draft stock and become a 2nd or a 3rd rounder, or even a 1st rounder if possible. But they wait until now to determine that. Diego Pavia, I am not a Diego Pavia fan. But if Diego Pavia was told this back in January, you can have a 5th year, I think he would have played his 5th year.
I do too.
College football is better with Diego Pavia playing quarterback for Vanderbilt, right?
Sure.
And then you have,
media-wise, everything.
Then you have Jaden Fielding, right, who did not get drafted by anybody by any means.
I'm shocked.
And wants to come back and play a 5th year. And it's just,
I heard he wasn't drafted because of politics.
Yeah,
he was too far left and too far right.
Yeah. He will not be coming back to Ohio State, but he can come back because he did not get drafted. And then you have Stephen Daly. Okay, Stephen Daly, Stephon Daly, whatever. Defensive end for Indiana last year. Did not get drafted. Did not sign with anybody. He is going to play this year for Indiana. They are returning a defensive end on their starting defense who had no eligibility left. And the NCAA is like, hey, we're just going to start it right now. We're going to start it right now. And I'm not mad at Indiana for it. I'm not mad at this kid for it. I am mad at the NCAA for their just complete lack of making sense on anything when it comes to making the right decision on anything, and therefore they are my bad dog for the week.
NCAA has a very unfortunate and tarnished past of being reactive rather than proactive, and it's not good for anybody except themselves. And the great irony, it's not even good for themselves, and it puts everyone in a precarious position. Yeah, boo hiss to you, NCAA.
Bad dog. All right. Before we get into our NFL Hall of Fame discussion, I do want to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. Believe it or not, we're going to talk some baseball on this show. And first off, I want to say this when it comes to pro sports. I am fine with players leaving their teams when their team that they are around doesn't do anything to help make that team a championship contender. You play sports to win a championship.
Sell down, Herm.
But there draws a line when enough is enough. And I'm not mad at the Dodgers for this. I'm not really mad at Skubal for this. I'm not mad at anybody other than the rules that are around them. But at the same time, too, like, the NBA doesn't have the rules right now with the second apron completely strapping people from being able to grow homegrown teams, but then also saying you're not allowed a tank to grow a homegrown team. Baseball, then, on the other hand, has no salary cap whatsoever, no salary floor. So if you're the Dodgers and you have all this money, you can spend it on whatever you want. Skubal was going to get traded. They, about a week ago, said he is going to get traded. He said, I only want to play with LA. I'm going to sign with the Dodgers this summer, next year. They're going to pay me the money I want. They can afford to pay me, and I will already join the super team of super teams to go win a championship. And the Tigers traded him to the Dodgers right before the deadline. And the best pitcher in baseball this year is going to, maybe not the best regular season team, but the best team in baseball for the playoffs to go win a third championship in a row. I know the Yankees did it for decades. I know that the Mets have been trying to do this for decades. But it's just it's just the fact of where they are at with the deferred money to Shohei, with getting Mookie Betts a few years ago, with getting Scherzer a few years ago. They just continue to do, and they can because there's no rule in place that doesn't allow this. And I think because of that, next year there might not be baseball. This might drag a whole season or long enough to where there is no baseball season next year. And I'm going to say this real quick about baseball. I don't watch it. I'm not a big baseball fan. Never have been. Probably never will be. But I know that they've increased their viewership a little bit. They've made the game faster. They're doing things to kind of change the narrative around baseball. You lose a season, and all that work you just did, you've completely lost.
Yeah.
The floor is
here's
yours.
the thing. Okay. I was a little kid, and I know this sounds terrible. It's like trauma dumping. I was a little kid, and there was a big MLB lockout. It was a very... And I loved baseball, man. I loved the Indians, Jim Thome, Albert Bell, and Manny Ramirez. I just love those guys. Very special place in my heart.
Aren't you a Reds fan?
I pull for the Reds. I'm really a Cardinals fan. I like the National League. Whatever. So, but I've always had a special place for the Indians. I love Cleveland. So, Jose Mesa. Anyways, so you real Indians fans will get that. The problem is this. That strike that took place in the early 90s really crippled MLB. The only thing that saved MLB was steroids, Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire. And then Barry Bonds made it interesting. And then all of a sudden they had a little 90-day lockout or something a few years ago. Here's the thing. It's very interesting how Major League Baseball said they'd acknowledged, we have a fan problem. We have a viewership problem. Expense going to a ballpark, buying tickets, especially small market teams that suck. Cincinnati, Cardinals. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, at some point, how is it attainable to allow teams to dominate, and we're letting these other teams suffer? So the solution is, well, we don't like your equity. That sounds like socialism. We're just gonna strike. Yeah, that'll be good for the viewership. That'll help to promote the league. Oh, that'll make it really popular. It's stupid. It's almost like what's the football movie where they all go on strike and as Keanu Reeves, The Replacements, right?
I think
I think it's called The Replacements. And so it's like, do you let a bunch of scabs come in and do that? Here's the thing. The Dodgers, I wrote this down. The Dodgers, they do have to pay a luxury tax, by the way. The Dodgers have the most. The Yankees have the third most, okay? Dodgers obviously outspend everyone, but they're in first place, so it's working. Whereas you look at the second most expensive team.
They're back-to-back World Series champs. It's working.
Out of the three-peat around the turn of the old millennia by the New York Yankees, and I said it on purpose, but the New York Mets. Here they are, they spend the second most, but that is a perfect model to show you could spend all the money in the world, but if it's mismanaged, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. Education. So if we go to the lowest part of the spending, okay, we have the lowest spending, I believe, according to Google search, is the Chicago White Sox. Guess who's first in their division in the American League? The Chicago White Sox. So it's a little bit like I'm kind of surprised.
But baseball always has this. They always, the Rays are always in contention. They seem to always be fighting a playoff spot, and they don't pay a lot of money.
Correct.
Moneyball is based on this narrative of baseball doing this. But traditionally, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the big spenders, more times than not, are winning, which is fine. They have this ability to do it. They do it.
But it comes at a cost. Now, the Cardinals are the third lowest. Washington Nationals are the second lowest, and they're both second and last. Of course, Pittsburgh is the fourth lowest. They're in the middle, and then, they talk about the Reds and stuff. Sorry. But here's the thing. When we're talking about how much money is spent, what separates the Dodgers and the Yankees and stuff, it's really all about this. Depth in the pitching staff. Period. That's it. Depth in the pitching staff. If you have a deep rotation or if you have a good relief or closer, it does not matter how much money you spend, but you typically have to spend more money to get that. So, sure, the White Sox are in first place right now. That ain't going to hold. You can't hold 7 games against the New York Yankees. You're just not. You're probably not. And so that's why in baseball, you're starting to see this trend again where you're having the same 5 teams. It smells a little bit like college football and the ability to spend and get those players. It's not always a good thing. That's my 2 cents.
No, I know, and I don't have the answer for it. Just like the same with NBA. Like I said, the NBA has created the second apron. If you go into the second apron, you are spending so much exuberant money in fees and taxes. You also you can't trade contracts that if you are in the contract for other contracts has to be even one for one player. The ability to trade draft picks later on. But then they're also like, hey, we don't want tanking to go on. You can't. The Golden State Warriors can't draft Steph, Clay, Draymond, and pay all those guys, and then bring free agents in to improve their team. The Thunder are in a spot. They're look at the Celtics. The Celtics won championship and had to get rid of half their team. And I hate the Celtics, so I don't feel bad for them. But for an organization, you build right, you draft right, and then you get punished. And now the NBA is all saying like, hey, no, we're tanking. Like you can't tank. We're trying to take away tanking. And so how are you supposed to build anything? Whereas baseball has kind of this foundation of, hey, here's how you build it. You spend a lot of money, and teams choose not to do that. And baseball's like, not our problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't affect us. And so there's no answer to fix it, but what they're doing right now is not the right answer.
And part of it is this also. If you're looking at this, you're talking about how much do those states tax? Mm-hmm. New York and California? Gee, I don't know. And that's the other X factor in this where, these big market teams and, big media market teams are getting pissy. And I totally get it. But it's like, hey, man, elections matter. And it is what it is. And they're getting taxed like crazy on that. So they have to pay more and more and more. And that just ups the ante. So you get places like Pittsburgh and, Cincinnati. It's like, they just have no chance. They just have no chance, so they can't outspend them.
So I want to transition to this, talking both baseball and NFL tonight. This is a conversation I've wanted to have for a very long time, and it kind of like, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a long week. Football 2 days went on Friday. We had practice Saturday, and nothing on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've had 2 days. So my mind hasn't been on planning for a podcast. I knew Hall of Fame game was tomorrow, but it just kind of like dawned on me like, the Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. And with this conversation I've been wanting to have with you for months since you've been on here, and it's just appropriate that this happens tonight with the Hall of Fame game tomorrow. I want to talk about which Hall of Fame matters the most in regards to some criteria. And your criteria is going to be a little bit different than mine. In the NFL, I've been to the Hall of Fame. When you walk through that hallway with all the busts, right? There's just something special about that room, right? You find your favorite player that you watched growing up, or maybe a favorite player, your favorite player of other teams. Bill Cowher is in there. Troy Polamalu is in there. Mean Joe Green is in there. Those guys that are the foundation of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The team that I love is right there. But guys like Peyton Manning, you walk in, you see his bust. Like it's cool to be in that room of just like. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
memorabilia?
Yeah, of the legends of this game, right? I've never been to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I've never been to the Basketball Hall of Fame. But it feels like the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame is very hard to get into. Not like the NFL is easy. I think the NFL is very nitpicky with sometimes allowing players in. Major League Baseball is, for one group of people, and Pete Rose, and that is the steroid users, which I don't think is a legit Hall of Fame when you don't have Barry Bonds, when you don't have Roger Clemens in, but you have David Ortiz in. And then the Basketball Hall of Fame, there's no NBA Hall of Fame, it's just the Basketball Hall of Fame. And the Basketball Hall of Fame kind of lets anybody and everybody in the Hall of Fame.
It's a little lackadaisical.
It allows everybody, which doesn't make Hall of Fame then. It's Hall of really good.
Great.
Yeah. Hall of above average, right? Andre Iguodala is probably going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame. Does he belong in there? No, he won one Finals MVP on a really good team, and LeBron scored 31, 13, and 11 that series. But Iggy has an MVP, and he's a 4-time champion, so they're going to let him in, right? Like,
yep.
The NFL and Major League Baseball don't do that. And so I just kind of want to have this conversation about, like, what makes each Hall of Fame special and what can they do to make it more exclusive and not exclusive. I think that, let's have that conversation.
The big problem with Major League Baseball is the writers' snobbery who vote, and the people who vote for that who snoot, and it's the rules for thee, not for me attitude that they tend to have, and the pharisaical outlook on players from the steroid era. I have a little bit of the it's the shame on you, so I'm going to hold this over your head, even though I never played the sport in my life, nor did I play through that era. So all these baseball writers are saying like, oh, well, Barry Bonds was on steroids. Yeah, so is half of Major League Baseball. And guess what? You guys enjoyed it. And guess what? The ratings were through the roof.
There's guys that were doing it that are in the Hall of Fame. David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame, and he was juicing.
Right, and so it's like, I don't think I've ever been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Would I go if I went through Cooperstown? I would go. Do I have a little bit of animosity towards some things with that and how they handle that? Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where it's like they allowed the Negro leagues to count towards the statistics in MLB. I'm cool with that. I get that. I'm good with that. Josh Gibson was a stud, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But then you're going to say, but we're going to shame, Mark McGwire. You were making money off Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Like that saved baseball. Like I lived through that era, As far as basketball, yeah, they're like, hey, this is the beat writer who always used to shave Larry Bird's legs at the Garden or something like that, It's like, it takes a real man to shave Larry Bird's legs, so therefore he should get into the Hall of Fame. Oh yeah, man, he knew how to shave just right around the right spots, And it's so the basketball thing, it's one of those deals where they let too many people in that are non-players. Also, that kind of messes with it. So in my mind, football, man. I think of football. That one, do they allow coaches in? Yeah, of course Tom Landry deserves to be in there, stuff like that. But there's just a higher standard,
I'm Major League Baseball requires that you play at least 10 seasons before you're eligible, and you had to be out for so long and all those things. I'm fine with, the 5 years, and Phillip Rivers, whether he's a Hall of Famer or not, has to wait another 5 years because he just played last year, even though he was going to be eligible within the next year. The NFL has no requirement. And so I look at a guy like Terrell Davis, and this is where this is fun, because you can't have this conversation for Major League Baseball right now anymore. It doesn't feel like there's any fairness when it comes to Major League Baseball, and this whole idea of unanimous. Again, I'm not a big baseball fan, but what I know about Derek Jeter is that I felt like Derek Jeter deserved to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Was Derek Jeter a unanimous Hall of Famer? Was Derek Jeter a unanimous Hall of Famer?
I would say yes.
He was not. He missed out by a single vote. What jabroni? He out of 397 possible votes, he received 396. What jabroni watches baseball and has the ability to vote on this and says, that dude's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the fact that is what is allowing to make these decisions, right? Barry Bonds, whether you like him or not, is the greatest or one of the greatest players to ever play the game of baseball. He has hit more home runs than any person who has ever hit home runs in baseball history. And
he's
they're
on
not
my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on my Mount Rushmore greatest players ever.
You have a guy like Terrell Davis. You have a guy like Terrell Davis who won an NFL MVP, was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, was an Offensive Player of the Year. He played 14, 16, 15, 16 games in his first 4 years in the league. Then he played 4, 5, and 8 and retired. 7 seasons. He is a NFL Hall of Famer in 2017. Took 11 years, but he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not one to say Terrell Davis should or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But there's no requirement that says no, he shouldn't. But when you look at his first 4 years, you can determine that he is a Hall of Famer. I think Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes is the guy that I think about when I think of after his first 5 years in the league, he could retire right then and there, and he would be an NFL Hall of Famer. And Major League Baseball would be like, well, no, he didn't play 10 years, and his dad got a few DUIs, so we're not going to let him in. That is the crap that baseball gets in their own way, and they're doing it with the Hall of Fame. And then I think about it too, like Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, all synonymous with the 2004 NFL Draft. I believe that Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Would I like to see him? Sure. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. He never was an MVP. Many All-Pros, many Pro Bowls, right? Maybe not many All-Pros, but an All-Pro at some point in time, a Pro Bowler. Phillip Rivers was an absolute dog of a gunslinger. Never was an MVP, never was a Super Bowl champion. Eli Manning was an above average regular season quarterback. But darn it.
Okay.
But darn it, there were 2 seasons where he got his team in the playoffs. He was an absolute dog, and he beat the Patriots and is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
And
me
personally,
Rivers a Hall of Famer. Is Ben Roethlisberger a Hall of Famer? Like the conversation between those 3 is so fun.
Roethlisberger is an easy one. I could see Eli Manning getting in on a bad year. You know, I could. He's not going to get in with a big juicy class, but he could sneak in on a bad year. And that's how some of these guys do get in, right? Yeah. But just a little biblical history. The Pharisees were the Jewish leaders of the time, who they were very law and rule driven, and they were always looking for people that were breaking the rules, and they're very pious, and where the term pharisaical comes from. And so they're like, they're always questioning Jesus on this, that, and it's like the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame writers are literally the Pharisees of the Old Testament, where it's always like, yeah, but you did this. Yeah, but you did this. It's all game of shame. And it's like, you guys are cornballs. Like, are you going to rip Ty Cobb out because he's a racist hack? So it's like, it's just stupid, and it's a very pious thing. And I don't know. It bothers me, but you're right. You end up with, all these great players like Roger Clemens and stuff that won't make the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And so what you get left with? You get left with players like Jeff Kent. Listen, I liked Jeff Kent as a player growing up. I like watching him play second base. I loved it. But he's not, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer compared to Roger Clemens, Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Palmeiro. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't make sense. You get left with someone went through, the store manager went up to the potatoes and said, this potato is not good enough for me. This potato is not good enough for me, or me, or me. Well, I'm leaving, and I'm important. I'm the one deciding. So the customer comes up and goes, well, the other little potatoes are little. I don't want these. Well, that's what you're going to accuse from. But I don't want these potatoes. Too bad, eat your potato. It's just stupid. You're left with second rate.
Yeah. The Baseball Hall of Fame has 354 members, 281 players, 40 executives/pioneers, 23 managers, and 10 umpires. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has 387. It doesn't give me a breakdown. Hockey Hall of Fame has 455. The Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame has 475. And that includes, just in the last 2 classes, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, 2008 U.S. Olympics men's team. I'm in on Melo. I don't know if I'm in on Dwight Howard. Is Dwight Howard a Hall of Famer? In the basketball realm, sure. It was NFL and MLB standards, no. This is the one that gets me. Amari Stoudemire in the class of 2026. I like Amari Stoudemire. Amari Stoudemire was a really good player for the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash next to him, with Mark D'Antoni as coach. Goes to the Knicks, has a good back half of his career. He is not a Hall of Famer, and that is where it's like, yeah, you're right. The Hall of Fame for basketball is kind of just the Hall of good participation and good job, and you were above average player. The Major League Baseball is just so, I don't know, just such it's pretentious. It's so pretentious, and it's so illegitimate until Barry Bonds and Clemens and those and the juicers are in, and all-time hits guy Pete Rose. I mean, it just, until that happens, it just, and it shouldn't have to happen after he died. They shouldn't, after he died, be like, hey, we're going to do this now. Like, what he did was bad. It was really bad. But he's the greatest hitter in baseball history, statistically. He should have been in years ago. And I know that you're a Cincinnati Reds guy, and so...
What are they going to do about Shohei Ohtani? And
Turn a
his
blind eye.
interpreter, and an interpreter who was gambling.
Hey, who's your favorite Cincinnati Red of all time? Was it Chris Sabo?
You know
Apparently
what?
he's my fourth cousin. Maybe I should see if I can get him on the pod.
Maybe you could. Well, you know, there's some Sabos that live around here too. So
not related to any of them. Maybe they're his family. Maybe we are related.
Yeah, yeah. Well, who's my favorite of all time? I tell you what, it's not one that you'd maybe ever think of.
I won't.
But okay. Well, for the viewers, the three that we have, probably Hal Morris. I really liked Hal Morris. I liked how he played the field. He was a good hitter. I also like Paul O'Neill. You know, he played there at the end of his career, and so did Griffey. But yeah, you know, it's just those are the guys I grew up watching. You know, so that's what makes it for me personal. You know.
We're sitting here at 36 minutes. I think that this is enough sports discussion for tonight. The Hall of Fame game is tomorrow, like we have said, and obviously it really means nothing. We're gonna watch the introductions of things. We'll watch the first quarter. It will be on in background the back half of the evening. But it just means that football is here. Like I said, 2-a-days have gone on in high school football the last few days. First scrimmages are this Friday. The football season is upon us, and we're sniffing it out, man. It is so close. With that being said, we are going to be doing a college football preview episode. Maybe not next week, but maybe next week. I got a baby coming in like 3 weeks, man. I got this child that's due technically in 4 weeks. My firstborn was 10 days early. This baby is coming soon, and so I obviously some time will be taken off for then. But we need to get a college football preview episode and an NFL preview episode before that happens. So that's going to be happening very, very soon. Looking forward to that. And I'm working on something.
Okay.
All I'm going to say. I'm working on something.
By the way, my last 2 cents about this. Major League Baseball contracts are guaranteed money. So whenever you hear the players union say, like, well, this is wrong, this is discriminatory, baloney. You guys are still playing a kid's sport for guaranteed tens of millions of dollars. Perspective. Do not feel bad for these guys. Okay? If they were like, don't let them go Latrell Sprewell on you or anything like that, you know? So I can't feed my kids. That's you problem, pal. Well, especially now that there's so many programs for the players coming in to where they're like, here's how you invest your money. Here's how you take care of yourself. Bobby Bonilla was a wise man. Do we have time for real quick CamDog's conversation?
Of course. One more thing about Bobby real quick. I really hate on July 1st every single year seeing ESPN tweet about it and every single news
Big brain.
It's great for him, but I'm so tired of the national media. He deferred his money to get it July 1st every single... Like, I know. I've been on the internet.
I know.
For the last 15 years of my freaking life. I know. I'm so tired of hearing about it every July 1st. I don't need Adam Schefter to tweet it at me.
Does it ruin your 4th of July?
Nope. You know what ruins my 4th of July?
When I leave early?
Friends that don't show up.
I showed up, though. I showed up.
I know you did.
I was the only one that showed up, pal.
You showed up. You said, big golf, Dave. All right, we'll see you later.
See you later. Kicked your tail cornhole and I left.
CamDog's conversation.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Best and worst household chore.
Oh. Ooh. You know what? Believe it or not, I don't mind a household chore. I really don't. I got two that I absolutely despise. And that is putting away the dishes and folding the laundry. I don't mind sorting the laundry. I don't mind hanging the shirts up and putting the clothes away. I hate folding it. I don't mind loading up the dishwasher, cleaning out the sink, cleaning the counters off. I absolutely hate unloading the dishwasher. I don't mind vacuuming.
Really?
Now I have a few Roombas around my home. I have 3 Roombas, in fact, now at this point in time in my life. One for the basement, one for the main floor, one for the upstairs. Not all at the same time, but you acquire Roombas and you use them. But I don't mind that. Like, I enjoy vacuuming. I get really PO'd when my like dog pees on the carpet or a cat pees on the carpet and I gotta go get the carpet cleaner in that moment. When I'm doing it, I don't mind it. It's not that bad. But by far, the best chore, and this is different for you than me because the size of how long it takes the chore to be done, but that is mowing my yard. And that is the quintessential dad chore that as a kid, when I mow the lawn, I was like, oh my God, I gotta mow the yard. And then you get yelled at for not doing it right, for it not looking nice, for it not being perfect. And now, by no means is my yard perfect, especially when now with the child, and I gotta kind of do it quickly. But when I can just get the mower out, and I can spend an hour with my headphones in, trying to get my lines nice and straight, edge around the yard, all those things, mowing is by far the best chore. Because at the end of the day, is it really a chore? Is it really a job if you love what you do every day?
Again, my perspective on this with the amount of mowing is different.
But you've had the small yard to where.
But I've had the small yard before, yeah. and I get it. It's exercise, it's cleansing, it's those moments of I can sprint with this to get it done before the rain hits in 5 minutes, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I don't like folding socks. Yeah, and there's just some things where I'm not really comfortable working with. So whatever. But dishes
like
don't bother me.
Underwear?
Anyways, I don't like doing painting. I hate painting. I would rather gouge my eyes out than paint. I hate painting, and I know that's like a home project.
That opens up a new can of worms.
You brought up mowing. Mowing.
I'm just saying, like, mowing is a chore that has to be done during the summer, weekly, sometimes twice a week. Painting is more of a project, and like my wife painted the walls here, but I've been painting our fence, trying to stain our fence, and it is the most painful, annoying task of all time. But then I started, and I'm like, this isn't that bad, except today when I'm just drenched in sweat before football because I worked on it for 2 hours, and I only got 3 panels done. An hour and a half, and I got 3 panels done. But then you get started, and it's like, this isn't that bad. But painting the walls, I'm sure I would lose my mind.
Yeah, I like doing trash. Like chores I did around the house growing up, like cleaning bathrooms and stuff. I don't mind doing chores a whole lot. It's just it's roles wise. I do a lot of the outside stuff, and Amber does all the inside stuff, and she helps me some ways. I help her some ways. We just make it work. Because you know what? That's teamwork. The key to a good marriage.
Yep.
Teamwork for the dream work.
My wife and I played this really fun game. If she cooks dinner and then I do the dishes and clean up the kitchen, if I make dinner, then I clean up the mess that I made and clean up the dishes and do the dishes and all those things. Yeah, it's really fun. Actually, my favorite chore that I get to do is give my son a bath and read him some books at night and put him to bed.
Yeah,
it's a chore. It's a chore.
But it is. But gosh, I'm going to sound like a boomer here. Old man, passing parting wisdom. Enjoy it because it goes fast.
It does.
So, what you think is there today is gone tomorrow.
With 2 on the second one coming, and one of those things like, for all you listeners that are going to be dads someday in the future, Grayson will never remember being our only child, but we'll remember those moments where he was our only child. And one thing that's real important to my wife and I, to Kelly and I, is to, obviously, family. We are a family with the 4 of us when she gets here. But I need just Grayson time. Kelly needs just Grayson time. Grayson needs just mom and dad time, or mom or dad time. And that's an important thing that we will make sure that we are going to do when she is here, because he's a good boy who I want to hang out with. I like hanging out with my boys. So.
And he likes dipping his crayons in water than eating them.
Yeah, he's a silly guy.
I love it. That's hilarious.
All right. Well, that is all we have for this beautiful evening of Sports Talk.
You gonna play the clip?
I'm gonna play the clip. But before we play the clip, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. Make sure to leave a review or leave a comment about your favorite moment of the evening's podcast. You can find us at the Sabo Standard on all platforms, including YouTube and Twitter, or X and Facebook and TikTok and Substack and anywhere else that you find your podcast. Just need to make sure we start doing that a little bit more around here, because this is the Sabo Standard podcast, where the standard is the standard. And if you don't live up to the standard, then Jamal Williams has a little something to say to you.
Because if you go piss like a puppy, stay on the porch and let the big dogs eat.